Here is love, caught between the powers of the world and the breaking of heaven on the long journey home. Here is love, found between two thieves, crucified among the lost, and love turns still and promises paradise. Here is love alone on the cross, and with nothing left, love brings together mother and son. Here is love in the last moments of life, seeking solace while saving humanity. Here is love, clinging to one last hope that not everything is lost, and the love dies for us. For us.
He came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into the time of trial." Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down on the ground. When he got up from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping because of grief. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not come into the time of trial."
While he was still speaking, suddenly a crowd came, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, "Judas, is it with a kiss that you are betraying the Son of Man?" When those who were around him saw what was coming, they asked, "Lord, should we strike with the sword?" Then one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said, "No more of this." And he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple police, and the elders who had come for him, "Have you come out with swords and clubs as if I were a bandit? When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me, but this in your hour and the power of darkness."
And to become a Lamb of God. Then they seized him and led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. But Peter was following behind at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with Jesus." But Peter denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, "You are also one of those disciples." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." And yet, about an hour later, another one kept insisting, "Surely this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord and how he had said to Peter, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." He remembered that, and he went out and he wept bitterly.
There is a green hill far away, outside the city wall, where our dear Lord was crucified, who died and gave us all. We may not know, we cannot He died to make us good, that we might come at last to Him, saved by His precious blood. There was no other good enough to pay the price of sin. The only good that what blood needs to let us sin. There is a green hill far away outside the city wall, where our dear Lord was crucified, who died to save us all.
Pilate then called together the chief priests, the leaders, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was perverting the people, and here I have examined him in your presence and have not found this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to me. Indeed, he has done nothing to deserve death. I will therefore have him flogged and release him." And then they all shouted together, "Away with this fellow! Release Barabbas for us." This was a man who had been put in prison for an insurrection that had taken place in the city, and for murder. Pilate, wanting to release Jesus, addressed them again. But they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no ground for the sentence of death. I will therefore have him flogged and then release him." But they kept urgently demanding with loud shouts that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate gave his verdict that their demand should be granted. He released the man they asked for, the one who had been put in prison for insurrection and murder, and he handed Jesus over as they wished.
When you prayed beneath the trees, it was for me, oh Lord. When you cried upon your knees, how could it be, oh Lord? When in blood and sweat and tears, you dismissed your final fears. When you faced the soldiers' spears, you stood for me. Oh Lord. When the triumph was complete, it was for me. Oh Lord, when it seemed like your defeat, they could not see. Oh Lord, when you faced the mob alone, you were silent as a stone, and the tree became your throne. You came for me, for me. Oh Lord. When you stumbled up the road, you walked for me, oh Lord. When you took your deadly load, that heavy tree, oh Lord. When they lifted you up high, and they nailed you up to die, and when darkness filled the sky, it was for me, for me. Oh Lord.
As they led him away, they seized a man, Simon of Cyrene, who was coming from the country, and they laid the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A great number of the people followed him, and among them were women who were beating their breasts and wailing for him. But Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For the days are surely coming when they will say, 'Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.'" Two others also, who were criminals, were led away to be put to death with him. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they cast lots to divide his clothing, and the people stood by watching. But the leaders scoffed at him, saying, "He saved others, let him save himself if he is the Messiah of God." his chosen one. The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine, and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was also an inscription over him, "This is the King of the Jews."
one of the criminals who were hanged there kept deriding him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise."
From the hillside of Golgotha, Jesus is heard. The echoes still linger, ringing his dying words. All of time cannot comprehend the words of that day. The echoes still linger, never here today. Father, forgive them. Father, they cry. The echoes still linger, hear his final sigh. To remember the Savior who died to set me free. May the gift of forgiveness never be with me. Father, forgive them. Oh, Father, forgive. Father, it is finished. It is finished. It is finished.
It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, while the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And having said this, he breathed his last.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there